episode of New Start Monday. It's here at Wildflower Wool. Every Monday, I come in here live and kind of review what I've been knitting on last week, what the New Start Monday yarn is for this week, and that is determined by everybody's voting over on Instagram and Facebook. Susie, how are you? Oh my God. Oh, Susie, you're in Nevada? Las Vegas. How exciting. I was actually there once and had a great vacation. So Susie, what are you knitting? I'm just going to wait for a few people to come in here live. I am so happy to be here tonight. I did not think this was going to happen until about an hour and a bit ago. All day today I was without any internet service, and it came up just a little over an hour ago. So I'm really, really happy that I'm able to go live because I was thinking it was not going to happen. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to show you the yarn that won the Instagram poll. So what yarn I'm going to be casting on this weekend or this tonight. Hey, Zakia, how are you? Zakia, your scrappy socks looked fantastic. And we're going to talk about the Russian bind off tonight. That is going to be our knit lesson for tonight. Russian bind off. Last week when we were talking, Amber left a comment down below and she said, I'd really like to know how to do the Russian cast off. So I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. Hey, Sabrina, how are you? Susie, I think I saw you were working on a summer top. Perfect timing for that. I have a few summer tops that I need to get worked on too. Oh, it's okay. You've already started the next pair. Fantastic. They are fun, aren't they? I am thinking I should gather up some of my scraps and do some scrappy socks too. So I hope everybody had a great weekend. Hi, Anne. And the week has started off well for everybody. Hi, Joanne. So I will show you. I have a few different projects to show you tonight. Shall we start with the winning yarn? We might as well start with the winning yarn before we go into the knit lesson. Hi, Karen. That'll give everybody a chance for a couple more minutes for people to come in here if they're going to join us live tonight. So I took a picture and posted these two balls of yarn. These are stash yarn out of my stash. You guys, I have got to put a dent in some of this stash. So, oh, Daisy's come to visit. All you can see is her tail. This is kind of a purpley, it's actually darker in real life than it's showing up on the camera. It's kind of a raspberry burgundy kind of color. Hi, Emma. And then this is lemongrass. Yes, lemongrass. They're both classic wool, Patton's classic wool. They're a worsted weight. And I think I'm going to do another headband. I loved the headband. Did you guys see the headband I showed on Friday on the Fiber Friends podcast? This is it. I had so much fun knitting this. This is, I can't remember the designer's name, but the pattern is called Winter Blues. Seed stitch with those two stockinette stripes. So fun. And people were leaving comments. People wear headbands more than I thought they did. Or maybe it's just because I don't wear headbands. I just assumed other people didn't. I don't know. But I'm thinking I'm going to do a whole bunch of these. Some maybe will go in my Christmas box. And some I'm going to do for charity. I really have this big urge to start knitting and stockpiling some finished knits for charity for the fall. Gosh, I don't even want to say the fall. We're just barely waiting for spring. They have snow forecast for us for the next, like tomorrow night, I think. Anyways, I may do a couple more in this pattern, the Winter Blues, but I'm going to make up some different stitch patterned headbands. So the winner, just got a cat tail in the mouth. Are you going to lay down or are you just wandering around on my lap? The winner by a pretty clear margin was the purple. And I don't know the name of this. This would have came from Spin Right from the tent sale up in Listowel. And I can tell just the way it's packaged, the way the tail is wrapped around it and there's no ball band. This would have came out of the second spin, which is one of my favorite places to shop when I go up to Listowel. So lemongrass is going to go back on the shelf for now. And this is the one that's going to get cast on, hopefully tonight. So I'm excited and I have no ideas. If you guys have any ideas for a headband, I keep thinking twisted stitches. That's as far as I've gotten. But I'm thinking still, we want it to be stretchy though too, don't we? I don't know. I'm going to play around. I know I can probably get at least 2 headbands out of here. And I'm wondering, I know you guys didn't vote for lemongrass, but I'm thinking these two would look kind of fun together. What do you think? Yes? No? Do you think it would look good together? I think it would look good together. It would be nice and bright on a cheery, you know, on it would be nice and bright and cheery on a cold winter day, I think. Kind of adding a little bit of sunshine in there maybe. But anyway, one color at a time. And I'll use my leftovers maybe. And hey, Shaylin, how are you? So anyways, this is the winning yarn. So thanks to everybody who voted for it. Normally on a normal day when I have access to internet, I always, when I'm in between clients, I'll just pop onto Instagram, check out the poll and see which yarn is ahead. Today I couldn't do that. It was an Instagram free day. I just got the poll up. Hi, Nicole, for you guys to vote on these 2 yarns, like literally within like 15 minutes of our carriers. They had a huge outage, like multiple provinces wide. So yeah, just barely got that up. And then it was an Instagram free day until just a little bit ago. That's the new yarn. New Start Monday yarn is the purple. Fantastic. I can't wait. Let's jump right into the knit lesson for tonight, the Russian cast off. Hi, James. So Russian cast off, if you've never heard of it before, it is a really stretchy cast off and it works well for toe-up socks. And, oh, Joanne, what is it? Okay, Joanne, I'll try to come back. That was some charity knitting. Your mom would knit, 100 pairs of mittens and hats for charities every winter. She loved to knit, every day. Oh my gosh, good. And Zakia's saying, yes, the 2 colors would look good together. I think they would too. Okay, so Russian cast off. Perfect for anything that you want to have a lot of stretch in there in the cast off. They're good for toe-up socks. You could use them pretty much for anything. If even the hat, if you did a hat top down and you had to cast off at the brim, it would be good there. You could use it around cuffs on a sleeve of a sweater. Mittens, I suppose, if you did mittens from the top down, you could cast off using the Russian cast off as well. It is a little bit decorative, and each side looks a little different. I have a little sample here. Oh, I pulled. Okay, I can't show you what it looks like. I had this cast off, and then I decided that I wasn't going to knit another sample, so I pulled the cast off out. So you're going to have to wait for a moment to see what it looks like. But one side has like little horizontal lines and the other side they're more of a diagonal. So it looks kind of decorative and it does have some stretch. There's 2 ways you can work this. You can work it all in knit stitches if you wanted to. So, like a regular cast off, most times we just cast off in knit stitches. If it's ribbing, I like to cast off a normal cast off in pattern, but lots of times people just cast it off knitwise, right? Oh, hey, hi, Jocelyn. So you can do the same with Russian cast off. You can cast it all off working knit stitches, or you can cast it off in ribbing, working knit 2, purl 2, knit 1, purl 1. Doesn't matter what the pattern is. As we're knitting the stitches off into our cast off edge, we are working the stitches whatever we see. So if there are knits, we knit them. If they're purls, we purl them. The benefit of doing this over, say, maybe like the tubular cast on is you don't have to have a darning needle. So you're not cutting your yarn, putting it on a darning needle, and then weaving it in and out. This way, where you're just going to knit and purl and work stitches together with the knitting needles. So you don't have to find a darning needle. You don't have to estimate your working yarn for your tail. You can just cast off. So like most cast offs or most anything, there's always a little bit of a setup. And the setup for this is just working the first 2 stitches. So I'm going to knit the first 2 stitches. I'm going to work across to this little sample in just knitting. We're going to cast off knitwise. Even though it's ribbing, I'm just going to work in knits for two reasons. One, to show you what it looks like, and the second is just so you can kind of get the rhythm of what we're doing, how we're working stitches, we're slipping them back onto the left-hand needle, we're working two together, knitting one more, and then you slide them back. And it's just it's kind of like a dance, and it gets very rhythmic as you go along. But I'm going to show it to you just all in knits, just so you get the idea of how the stitches are moving. Then the last half, we'll work them in pattern. And then we'll take a look at the cast off edge. To be honest, I can't tell much of a difference between doing them all in knits and knitting them in pattern. Hi, Susanna. So I think personally, and I know in the past, I have just done it all knitwise on the top of my sock. But for the purpose of a little lesson, I will show you how to do both ways, and then you can maybe just cast on a little sample, give it a try, and see what you think for yourself. So backtrack here, the setup is we're going to work 2 stitches. So I've knit 2 stitches and promptly dropped my needle. Hold on for a sec. Okay. And I have a cat on my lap. I can't disturb the cat while I'm bent down to pick up my needle. Okay, so knit 2 stitches. I'm going to take the 2 stitches on my right hand needle and I'm sliding them back onto my left hand needle. So slide them back purlwise. Now I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together and I'm going to knit them through the back of the loop. So I put my needle in through the back of the loop, knit them together. I've got 1 stitch over here on my right hand needle. Now I'm going to work 1 more stitch, which means I'm going to knit 1. I'm back to 2 stitches on my right hand needle. We slip those back to the left hand. We're going to knit those 2 together through the back loop. And then I'm going to knit 1 more stitch. So now we just kind of keep repeating that. Once you've got 2 stitches on your right hand needle, you slide them back. I'm going to knit the 2 together. And then I'm going to work 1 more stitch. And then I repeat those 2 stitches. We slip them back onto the left-handed needle. I'm going to knit them together through the back loop. Work 1 more stitch. And then we repeat. Slide them back. Are you kind of getting the rhythm? Can you kind of say this with me as I'm going across? I've slid them back. I'm going to knit 2 together through the back of the loop. I'm going to knit 1 more. And now I'm going to slide them back. Work them together through the back of the loop. Work 1 more stitch. And then slide them back over. So it's pretty rhythmic, very easy to do. And see all that stretch? Yeah. Gives you lots of stretch, really easy, no fiddliness. So I'll show you quick. So see, can I get that to, this is the side. I don't know if it's really showing up, but these are kind of the horizontal, not horizontal, the diagonal. And this side has got horizontal bumps up the top. I'll post some pictures on the Instagram page of both of them so you can see them more up front. Anyways, yeah, I can tell a difference. I don't know how well it's showing up for you. So now let's go. I'll do 1 more. So, okay, now that I've taken a break, And I've talked a little bit. Do you remember the mantra? When I've got 2 stitches on, I may have to, my phone is not charging, apparently. Okay, I'm gonna have to move the cat. Okay, let's finish this stitch, then I'm gonna play with my phone before we go into casting off in pattern. 2 stitches on this needle. What do we do next? Slide them back over. Work the decrease. So knit 2 together through the back loop. And then we work 1 more stitch like that. Okay. Now, before my camera dies, let me do a little fix. Sorry, I thought I have this charging, but it doesn't seem to want to charge when it's plugged into my laptop. So give me 1 sec. Okay, that should have solved that problem. Okay. So, hey Kelly. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to cast off the rest of this in pattern. So then we can take a look and see what we think, if we like it all in knit stitches, cast off, or in pattern. So we've got 2 stitches on our right hand needle, so we know we have to slide them back. So when we're casting off in pattern, we're going to work the stitches in pattern. And so what we see, we're going to work. I've slipped those 2 stitches back onto my left hand needle. So now you're going to say, okay, if we're casting off in pattern, how are we working those 2 stitches together? Are they knit together or are they purled together? What you're going to do is really easy. You're looking at the 2nd stitch. So this stitch right here. So on my side, the way I'm looking at it, it is a knit, because you can see from your side it's a purl. So my side, it's a knit. I'm going to knit those 2 together. Now I'm going to work 1 more stitch. So I look at what it is. It happens to be a knit. So we'll knit it. Now we're going to slide them back. We've got 2 stitches, slip them back, and we're going to look, what are we doing? Are we knitting them together or purling them together? This 2nd stitch, it's a knit. So I'm going to knit them together through the back loop. I have to work 1 more stitch. It's a purl, so I'm going to bring my yarn to the front. I'm going to purl it. There's our 2 stitches. Now we slide them back. So we're working the exact same way, that same rhythm of having 2 stitches, sliding them over, working them together, working 1 more stitch, and then just repeating. Now when we're working in pattern, we just have to pay attention to, are we knitting or are we purling? I've got my 2 stitches I've slipped over. My 2nd stitch is a purl, which means I'm going to purl these 2 stitches together. My working yarn is attached to that 2nd stitch, so we're kind of pulling it around, but that's okay. So now I worked the 2 together. I'm going to work 1 more. It happens to be a purl, so I'm going to purl it. And we just keep going. 2 stitches, we slide them over. We're going to work these together. My 2nd stitch is a purl, so we purl them together. I'll be really interested to see if you guys can tell any difference. Now we only have 1 stitch on the needle, so we have to work 1 more. I'm going to work it in pattern. It's a knit, so I bring my yarn back and I knit. 2 stitches on the right needle means we slip them back. We're going to work a decrease. I look at my stitch, it's a knit them together through the back loop. And away we keep going across. 1 stitch on the right hand needle means that we have to knit 1 more, work 1 more, and it's a knit, so I will knit it. 2 stitches on the right hand needle, slip them back. Look at what this 2nd stitch is. It's a knit, so I knit them together through the back loop. So this gives you a really nice stretchy edge. perfect for those toe-up socks. It does flare out a little bit, not too much. I think this, some people when they're doing those cast-offs for toe-up socks don't like that little that ruffly edge you get around the top. Now, my fiber friend co-host Cheryl, she does not have that problem. And she said her tip for that is to cast off fairly, not overly snugly, but snugly, is that a word? But keep it fairly tight. Don't think, oh, I want it to be a stretchy cast off, so I'm going to make my stitches extra stretchy, because then you do get that ripply edge. So if you keep your tension fairly consistent and not overly loose, you should not have that ripply edge. Unless some people, one person told me they actually like that. And, you know, if you do, that's good. But there's my cast off so far. Okay, so now that I've been talking a little bit, and now that I have to go back, so this would be a good test. So if you're casting off at home and somebody walks into the living room and asks you, you know, where is something, or if somebody texts you, or you get an Instagram notification or something and you stop your cast off and then you come back to it, how do you know where you are? So you take a look at your stitches. We know we have one stitch on the right hand needle. And remember that we always had two before we were sliding them back. So we know we have to work one more. So I'm going to look and see what it is. It's a purl. So I'm going to purl. So we'll finish off this row and then we'll take a close look at this. So now there we are. There's our two stitches on the right hand needle. We slide them back. We work them together. Are you guys repeating this at home with me? I'm going to take a look at what my second stitch is. It's a purl, so I'm going to purl them together. Oh, Jocelyn, you love the ruffled edge. I think it must have been you. I think you're the only person that I've heard ever say that. One stitch, we know we have to work one more. It's a purl, so I'll purl it. And then we'll just slide them back and we'll purl them together, and ta-da, we're done. So I think I saw Zakia say she has done this on a shawl, but didn't know it was called the Russian cast off. And like everything, there are so many different names to different things. So has anybody else tried this? Okay, can you tell the difference in the cast off? We stopped about halfway. This is the end where we were casting off in pattern. This is solid knit stitches. So I'm going to turn it around. This is the end now. Oops, I dropped a stitch. Sorry, when I was unraveling my original cast off, I dropped a stitch and I didn't fix it. Isn't that bad of me? Anyways, this is the in pattern and this is the solid knit stitch. I don't know as if, oh, Valerie, you're saying you always bind off in pattern. And you know what? I generally do too. And when I was just practicing the two, oh, you have used this, Valerie? I like it. And you know, I like when I'm just casting off regular ribbing. Okay, so Lisa's saying the cast off in pattern looks neater. Okay. It does. It looks a little tighter down here, doesn't it, than this? Probably just habit. I know, but there's something, isn't there something where I almost can't bring myself now to, because before, like in my earlier knitting days, I would just cast off knitwise. Actually, you know what I would do? If I was just doing a normal cast off, what do we call the regular way, the way we've always learned how to cast off? Is there an actual name for that? Or just cast off? That's a good question. I'm not sure what the answer is to that. But I would always, when I first learned to knit, I would just always cast off knitwise, no matter what side of the row I was on. Then up until a few years later, I would still always just do a regular cast off, but I was always cast off the opposite way. If I had a right side row facing me, so if it was, well, whatever, if I had the knit side facing me, I would cast off all the way across the row purlwise. If I had the purl side facing me, I would always cast off all the way across the row knitwise, just so I had that more solid edge of the cast on. It would be on the wrong side of my work when I was finished. Now though, I do, if it's something that has ribbing, which I mean most things do except maybe for shawls, right? Then I would always cast off in ribbing, 1 by 1 or 2 by 1, 2 by 2, or whatever it is. So yeah, so Valerie, so it almost, I can hardly not do that anymore. Now that I've really gotten in that habit of casting off in pattern, it almost is like, casting off not that way is hard. So I think, yeah, so pretty much everybody's saying they do in pattern. I don't see a whole lot of different. I think you are right. I think this end does look a little neater. So maybe that is still, most of us are right then. It's probably better to work it in pattern. But I think working it off in just a knit stitch, if you wanted to, you probably could get away with it. Okay, I'm gonna turn my sample this way so you guys aren't looking at that drop stitch that I left there. Naughty Yarny, hi. I'm so glad you're joining us. So anyways, that is the Russian cast off, and look at that stretch. So it would work great for a shawl. There'd be lots of uses, lots of different projects you could try this on. So I hope you do. Even if tonight, if you just cast on, this was, I think, 16 stitches, knit a few rows of ribbing, and then just give it a try and see what you think. But I think it does look really pretty. So there you go. One more thing that you can try on your next project. Last week we talked about the Turkish Cast On, and I had shown you how to do it using 2 circular needles. Oh, I should show you my sock. Do you guys want to see my sock? Last week's New Start Monday project, remember, it was 2 balls of croy. I still have it here. I haven't had the heart to put it back on the shelf in my stash. The zebra stripes from Patton's Croy. It was the loser. Poor guy. I feel bad. I feel bad when these yarns don't win, you guys. Anyway, hold on for a sec. I dropped my sock. And okay, anyways, I'll just show you this. So my sock, my ball of 70 stripe. Oh, hold on. This is driving me crazy. There we go. Sorry, I had dropped the ball and then it got tangled around the chair leg of all things. Hey, Jerry. Oh my gosh, Jay. Well, then look at that. Perfect timing. Well, good. Well, I hope that helped, or at least now you can go look it up and it will be a good refresher. You'll kind of have the gist of what was going, right? Oh, what was that? As long as I don't drop the camera. That's right. I know. So far, I have not done that. So anyways, last week's New Start. This was the yarn you guys all voted for. This is the Patton's Croy 70 stripe. Oh, question. Is Croy sock yarn hard? You mean as in durable? Yes, it is durable. It is a good workhorse yarn. Is it super, super soft? Like, no, but I don't find it itchy either. I mean, maybe it's not as soft as something, but I find it okay. And it is a good workhorse yarn. It is economically priced. It's easy to find, we have it here at Lens Mills. Michael's has it. So I think Joann's probably have it for you guys in the States. And it wears forever. Wears forever. My socks, I wear them for years and years. I wash them, I dry them. Sometimes I dry them. Sometimes I lay them on top of the dryer. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes they go through the dryer. I mean, the biggest problem with putting socks into the dryer is that it deteriorates the nylon. It's not so much the wool because it's superwash, it's the nylon. And then it loses some of its stretch and it gets a little, you know, oh, there you go. Feels like opal and regia. Yeah, that would be a good comparison. A little thicker. Yes, it is a little thicker, but I still use a 2.25 millimeter for mine. You may want to use 64 stitches instead of 68 stitches if you usually use a 68, but I find I don't really change my pattern. I use 64 stitches. So this was my sock. I got one done, but I have a problem. I was so certain in the past, I would have bet money in the past that I had gotten a pair of shorty socks out of a 50-gram ball of Patton's Croy. When the Fiber Friends did our sock knitting challenge on the Easter weekend, Marg ran short on her Patton's Croy and she had to do her toe up socks. No, she did them cuff down and she had to do her toe and a mini skein because she ran out of yarn. I was close. I did not do a lot of ribbing on here. I don't even know how many. I just kind of eyeballed because I was really trying to get this to be 50 grams. And I went over. I think it's 26. So that means I'm going to have to, I think I have got some blue sock yarn, just some solid. So I will just probably do my cuff in blue or something. So it may not be striped on the cuff. I'm going to run out a little bit when I do my next sock because this is what I've got left. So that is a little disappointing for sure because I was really hoping I could do it, but I didn't. But this is it. Last week's cast on, and I got one sock done. Actually, I did it on the weekend. And I was finishing it while I was watching Knits and Pieces. Their live knit chat Sunday afternoons, but I think is there one more Sunday afternoon chat, ladies? And then you're switching it to during the week for the spring and summer, aren't you? So anyways, there's my sock. I'm going to cast off using the Russian cast off, and then I'll post some pictures. Okay, so oh, there's one more Sunday. Okay, good, because once it switches to during the week, I don't think I'm going to be able to. Then Tuesdays, and then I'm not going to be able to join. I've got pretty much every night I have a different knit group online. So we'll see. I may be able to sneak in for a little bit. So that is that. One sock done, and we'll see. I'll show you next week where I end up with this, how much, and what out of my stash that I'm going to pull out to finish off my sock number 2. But you know what? This is my April sock. And I'm feeling very happy that I have got one done already. My March socks, don't want to talk about my March socks because I haven't picked them up for a little while. They're going to be shorties too once I get going. Oh, I should talk about this. I just did a short row heel. That's why my March socks are sitting, is because I haven't figured out what heel I'm going to do. This one here, I just did a regular old short row heel. Nothing fancy. I left 14 stitches in the middle because I've got a little bit of a narrower heel. So I did 14 stitches, 64 stitches all the way around. And I worked my short rows till I had 12. I was aiming for 14 and I got carried away and I did 12, but that's okay. It fits fine. But so there, short row heel. So now I need something different for my March socks, which maybe I will just do an afterthought heel. We will see. Oh, there you go. Naughty Yarnies, you're saying afterthought heel. I may do that because you know what? I don't think I have even, no, I must have done it after. I don't know. I haven't done an afterthought heel in a really long time, and quite possibly I never have. I have to see, but I'm going to do the gusset. I know if I have done an afterthought heel, it was back in the days before somebody had the bright idea of adding in those extra knit rounds to give you that little extra ease that you need in your heel. And I'm thinking, you guys that have done it, how many rounds, do you know off the top of your head how many rounds you put in there? Is it like 3 extra rounds before you start doing the heel shaping? I'm thinking that's what I've heard people talk about. That's kind of what I was thinking. Oh, Kelly, you do 5 rows. Okay. Oh, hey, Amber. I know it came up just in time. I know. So for any of you, Kelly and Noelle, did you guys have problems with, oh, Sabrina, you do 3. So it's kind, so there again, so that's got to be a personal preference then, right? So anywhere, so 3 or 5. Noelle, you do 5. Oh, and 7 for men's. Okay, that makes sense. So you've got a little bit deeper, a little more room. 5 and 7. So anywhere's in there. Oh, okay. So everybody's kind of okay, so anywhere in there. Vanilla is the new black heel. Valerie, you know what? I had forgotten about that. Thank you for mentioning that. I will add that in there. I need to write this down. I'm trying to keep it in my head of what, because I want to do toe or 2 at a time. I'll admit, as I grab, I end up with more yarn on the floor here. I have a work table, but somehow my yarn never seems to sit up there. Oh, you've done the Vanilla's the new black as well. I'm gonna have to try that. But like I say, I need to write it down because I'm starting to lose track of what I want to do. But my 2 at a time, I have never really given that a good try. I remember I have this vivid memory, probably because it was not a good memory. It is like stuck in my head. I was in a vehicle, I was the passenger trying to do I don't know if it was toe up or cuff down, but I was trying to cast on onto a a magic loop needle with 2 balls of yarn, and I didn't take my own advice. I probably only did about 2 rounds. I was still at the part where it was really fiddly and trying to get the yarn sorted, and I just like threw my hands up and I'm like, forget it, going back to 1 at a time, which is, sometimes I have to do as I say, not as I do. And that was, yeah. So I need to go back and try 2 at a time. So I think that is going to be the next pair of socks I cast on, is going to be 2 at a time. And then, so I guess I've got an option. Orange is the new black heel? Possibly. I was going to give Fish Lips Kiss heel another go. I think I have only done that once on 1 sock. I don't even think I've done the pair. And I didn't overly like it, but I think it was just because it was new and because I had to stop and go back and read the instructions. You know how I'm really bad for wanting to get a creature of habit, something that I can do. I don't have to read the pattern. I don't have to count my stitches. You just like the short row heel and a heel flap and gusset. You just, once you've done a few, right? I've got them ingrained in my memory that I can just do them. Oh, vanilla. Oh no. Did I say it backwards? I mean, like, that is totally possible, Zakia. So what did I say? Vanilla's the new heel, not orange. Heel, whatever. Okay. I also have a rule. I don't do things that I can't say the name of. Okay, so I was going to show you guys that Turkish Cast On. So if you want to just do magic loop, I think that's how I got totally sidetracked. I don't know how that happened. That this sock. So I cast this on Turkish Cast On with 2 circular needles. So I started the heel, the toe. Started the toe and I worked it 2 circulars. So for you guys, sock knitters out there, does anybody knit their sock on 2 circulars? To me, that seems like it was something that was kind of a big thing quite a few years ago. And I don't know as I see too many people knitting their socks that way. People are usually, well, 9-inch circular seems to be the newest trend, but definitely magic loop, right? We knew what you meant though. Okay, thanks. Orange, black, I don't know. How am I'm going to have to figure that out. So, oh, Noelle, you do 2 circulars? Okay. Oh, 2 circulars forward. Oh my God. 2 circulars forward a time? Oh my gosh. So, okay, so you're meaning though, like you're doing 2 separate colors spaced apart. Oh my gosh, Valerie. Okay, I don't know if I wanna try that. 9" for color work, Noelle's saying. Yes, 2 circulars just up until a month ago, now magic loop. Okay. So I haven't done 2 circulars in forever, and mostly because I have a hard enough time finding 1 empty needle, let alone 2. But I have my best friend, she knits that I taught her how to knit socks, and I taught her how to do toe up on 2 circulars because that happened to be the class that I was teaching at the time. So that's how I taught her to knit socks, and that is how she does it to this day. When I was doing my little shorty sock, I actually enjoyed knitting on 2 circulars, and, you know, it's one of those light bulb moments, I'm like, "Why am I not doing this more often?" So, okay, 2 s what was oh, was that Valerie again? Oh, Kelly, 2 16" circulars, but you love the 9". I know, I love the 9", and I love the new well, backtrack to this. This is my little new asymmetrical 9" needle that I ordered from Knit Stitch, and I love it. I like knitting on a little short circular anyways. I'm not sure I mean, I like the other ones too, but I really, really like this. So I don't know if that is just the fact that it had that extra little bit on the needle tip, that extra 1/2 inch, or it just that it was a 1/2 inch longer. So you just really, there's a little more to hold, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I, I know. I think Noelle was looking for it as well, Kelly. And I was so worried because I had kept coming on here live in the Fiber Friends group and on YouTube and on, you know, all the places I was talking about how I wanted to order this 9" circular. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to get myself over to that website because here I am telling everybody it's there and I'm going to end up without one. And when I went on, I got the very last one in a 2.25. So hopefully she'll order more because I really, really like it. I would highly recommend it. And the needle tip swivel. Okay, I'm never going to get to this cast on, am I? If I keep talking, but look at this. Look at this. You can like twirl your knitting around. That needle tip swivels, so it makes it really nice to work on. There was no catching. The joins were fantastic. The needle tips were wonderful. It was just a joy. I loved knitting it. I am going to make sure I keep track of this one. All my other needles are kind of here, there, and everywhere. I'm keeping track of this one for sure. Okay, so Anne says, when you knit socks, oh, you only knew one way to knit. Feel like I'm foreign land. It's Canada. I know. Well, you know what? That's the fun though, right? Is that there are so many ways and you try something and if you like it, you do it. If you don't, you move on. I know the swivel is like, isn't that fun? And even if it, you know, it helps with the knitting and the feel of the needle, but then you can just also swing your needle around and play with it too. It's like one of those fidget spinners. Okay. Okay. So, so Valerie, you said you find that the 9" is too small for you. And, you know, and some people, the jury is really like split 50-50 on these. I find people love them or they don't, right? And that's okay. Oh, okay. So Amber, you love your 9" circulars, but you had, oh, look like a T. I know, because you do. You feel like you're just, there's not much to hold on to until you get used to it, right? Okay, so let's talk about the, oh, Valerie, yes. If anybody has any wrist problems, the little 9" probably aren't going to be the best thing for you. Yeah, you may want to, you know, stick with your 2 circulars, your magic loop, your DPNs, whatever. Oh, naughty yarn, the bamboo swivel and the chowgoo. I don't know. I don't know. None of my chowgoo needles do, but that doesn't mean that they haven't brought one out. Okay, so Turkish Cast On, if you want to do just magic loop and not do knit on with 2 circulars. I'm going to do, I mean, Cheryl and I fiddled around with it on the podcast, but I also had a sock on my needle, so it was a little tricky, but I mean, you have to be able to do it. So one magic loop needle, I'm going to hold my 2 needle tips, one on top of the other, slip knot on the top needle, and then you're going to wrap. So if you guys didn't see this last week, I'll just kind of go over. The Turkish Cast On is a good way, it's a good alternative to Judy's Magic Cast On. If, you know, the whole twisting your fingertip to needle tip, if that's tricky or you find it hard to remember, Turkish Cast On is a good alternative. You cast on, we're wrapping. You're wrapping on half the number of stitches that you want. So we'll just cast on like 8 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So just have to make sure this end stitch, just like with Judy's Magic Cast On, that last stitch is just, you know, just really just sitting there. We're going to turn our needle tips upside down. So this bottom needle tip's going to end up on top. And I just like to tip them literally from, go to the right and turn it around. And then we are going to pull this bottom needle out and around so we can knit with it. When we're doing with the 2 circulars, we just let that hang down. Oh, you like the, oh, Jerry, you like the Turkish Cast On? Oh, because oh, good. I'm so glad. I know, isn't it? I really like it. I mean, I like Judy's Magic Cast On as well. But, so now we're just going to knit across. So our stitches are just wrapped on. It is fun. It is, you know, it's easy. We're not counting the slip knot though. We're going to pull it out when we get to it. So if you look at the stitches, they are just, see how they're just wrapped around. So the first row, we're going to go across because we wrapped 8 times. So we had 8 stitches on the top and we're going to have 8 stitches on the bottom here. So we wrapped 8 times. We're going to end up with a total of 16 stitches. So for right now, there's really, like, that's not even a stitch. It's just wrapped around that top needle. So you just knit into it. Just kind of ignore the fact that it's a wrap, not a stitch, and go across. Bridgerton yarn. Oh my gosh, I am in love. Did you guys see Amber's picture in the Fiber Friends Friday Night Knit-In group of all that Bridgerton, that Area 51 yarn? Beautiful. Okay, so now when we get to the end, we've got that slip knot. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to turn our work around and we're going to get rid of that slip knot. So there you go. So Turkish Cast On can totally be done. Because when I was doing it last week with the 2 circulars, everybody's like, no, I just do it with 1 needle. And there you go. So you can do it whichever way you want. So there's that slip knot. We're going to get rid of it. And there. I'll work across. We'll work across the other edge of our wrap. I saw that, Amber, you got a little extra green mini. That will be fun to add in. So Turkish Cast On, Russian Cast Off. I really want to know. I used to tell Lucy Neepy that her cast off, her modified cast off, that we should be calling that the Canadian cast off, because I don't think we don't have a Canadian cast on or cast off. I think we need to fix that. So anyways, there is the Turkish Cast On, just started. So it makes a really pretty seamless start for Toes Up. That's right, knits the world. I know we can't travel the world right now, so we'll just bring it into our knitting, right? And the Chinese Cast On, otherwise known, as the Chinese Waitress Cast On. Amber, you helped Jackie with the Turkish Cast On. Fantastic. I know. Go out there and spread it all around, right? I mean, that's the more we learn and the more we share, I mean, the more everybody can learn. That is my goal, right? To just spread what I know. Spread what I know. Oh yeah, the Chinese waitress cast on, because I don't know, that name just bothers me. Chinese waitress cast on. I don't know. Anyways, that's a pretty cool cast on. So that lady who, the waitress that taught the lady, I forget what her name was, the lady that wrote the book. Anyways, the cast on book. So I've just been starting to call it the Chinese cast on. But that is that. I have one more thing I can show you. Oh, we're getting close. I don't want to try to keep to an hour or fairly close. I can show you one more thing. So remember my pot holder from last week? Oh, Amber, Jason. Well, I think Jason should be joining you on these. Maybe he should be starting to knit. So remember my pot holder from last week? I had so much fun knitting this. This took me a day. It was a Sunday. It was an easy knit. So I remember I said I was going to start another one with 2 shades of blue, just some more stash. I think this is one of those large balls of the Bernat Handicrafter, and this was Lily Sugar and Cream, I think. And oh, good. Oh, you'd like this? Yes. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad, Naughty Yarnies, that you got to see it this week. So I cast on. So I did my provisional, the crochet provisional cast on with just some waste yarn. And I switched up the pattern a little bit. I really liked the diamonds, but this pattern is from my hat. I have so much fun just playing around with stitches. So these V stitches here, the upside right one, and here's the upside down one. I just put those 2 together. And that's what we get here. So I'm holding, so if we talk about the whole, every week we kind of always come back to yarn dominance every time we're talking about color work or stranded. I know, aren't the colors, I really like the colors. So I'm holding the light blue in my left hand so that yarn is carrying underneath the navy. So it should be the more dominant color. And we also talked about a couple of weeks ago, let me see where I did it here. Okay, sure. Now that I want to find it, that, you know what? Someday I'm going to get around to actually writing up these patterns. Oh, okay, here, I found it. Right there. So a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about how to knit stranded color work or fair isle knitting, and we were talking about how often do you catch your floats. And I had said, kind of, an inch or so, depending on the weight of yarn. If it's fingering weight, you can probably go a couple more stitches because you've got way more stitches per inch in there. But I also said, you want to catch it because you don't want to have long floats, especially if it's mittens or a sleeve of a sweater. You don't want your fingers, your rings or whatever to catch those floats. This is going to be a pot holder. It's going to be sewn together. I'm going to Kitchener stitch the bottom together, and my live stitches on top, I'll Kitchener stitch it. So the floats are not going to be a problem. They're going to be totally disappeared, and you're never to be seen again. And I decided that I was not going to catch, okay, see, oh, there it is again. Just when I want to find it, I can't, right? The more often you catch your yarn to make those floats smaller, the bigger the chance that it's going to show through a little bit on the other color. So right there is where I've caught. There was only one row across here that I really needed to catch, and I could see it right in the middle of this blue section, you can see where I've caught that yarn behind that stitch. And so I decided, you know what? I don't need to catch my floats on this because it's a pot holder. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to catch anything on it. So up in here, I stopped catching it. And see how there's no, I can stretch that apart and you don't see any light blue through there. So there's just a consideration for you. I mean, if this was going to be a mitten and you're not going to want long floats, you're going to have to, and then it's just something you kind of deal with. In that case, you don't want to stack your twists where you're catching the yarn. You don't want to stack them one on top of one another, because see how you can see every row. You can see the yarn through there. Yeah, just stagger them if you have to catch them. So that's my little tip on that. But anyways, I am loving this, except I have to pull back a couple of rows because I did one extra row in here. So see how tall that looks? A little taller than down here. Oops. But anyways, I really, really like how this is turning out. So that was just my little extra fun project. I want to see if should I say this out loud? That, oh, I almost need a helper. You know what I do? I do need a helper. I need to win the lottery and maybe just work part-time. Maybe that would be part-time knitter, part-time real life job. That would help me out a lot. But anyways, this was an extra. I'd like to try to do one of these a week and get them ready for Christmas. Last week I did at least one dishcloth a week. I would like to kind of do a bunch of these to have these ready for Christmas gifts. And that is my knitting. That is what I did this week. A sock, part of a pot holder. Yeah, and finished this hat. I showed this on the Fiber Friends podcast too. And you want to see I'm terrible. I try to keep in theory, I try to have a plan, thinking what I'm going to show Monday nights and what I show Fridays when I record for the Fiber Friends. And then I end up showing everything everywhere because I get too excited and talk about it too much. But you know what was a total happy accident when I was designing this? Bye, Jocelyn. I'm so glad you popped in. And when I was doing this, I did it straight up, almost to the end. And I thought I was just going to do some gray round up here. And I was going to add in just a navy, a gray, a navy, a gray, a navy, a gray, couple rounds, and then end off with a solid color in the center. And when I pulled it all together, it ended up like this, like a flower. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this row of the arrows, I always think of these, they look like V stitches. They look like knit stitches to me. When you pulled it snug, that it would turn out like this, like a flower on top. And I am absolutely in love with that. That was a happy design accident. That made me very, very happy. So anyway, so this is done. This was out of the Leo and Roxy Basics yarn. Could be my new favorite yarn. Oh, it could be a messy bun hat too. It totally could. Totally could. I could have finished it that way. This yarn, you guys, oh, if you have not used this yarn, highly recommend it. It is so soft. I cannot stop squishing it. Can't wait to cast on for something else because I have tons of this yarn. Like this hardly even made a dent in those balls. So I've got lots and lots and lots left. So, okay, so let's chat. Is there any more? I know you guys have been chatting as I've been talking, but that is all my knitting. And we're right at the hour mark. So we can take like another 5 minutes if anybody wants to chat and say what they're knitting on. Or if you would ask the question and scroll through the comments and I didn't see it, if you want to type it in again, we can just chat for another few minutes before we wrap up and everybody carries on with their night, whether that is maybe just sitting and knitting, watching watching a show, watching something on Netflix or whatever, however you wind down for the night. I think I am going to, I'm binge watching something on Netflix right now. So I think I will sit and watch another episode of that. And I guess I'll be unknitting my pot holder, won't I? I won't be actually making any progress. I'm going to be taking out about 3 or 4 rows, but that'll be it. And then that'll be a night. And next I'm going to start. Oh, Amber, you're going to start the Duke socks. Oh, that's nice. That's the shades of blue, isn't it? So my headband, Amber, did you ask me about the headband? Yes, I finished it. If this was the one you were talking about, the midnight or the winter blues, I finished it. I'll even model it. I actually like it. And I even like the color of it. I do like it. So this purple is going to be another headband. Not this pattern, but I'm going to do something else. A nice wide. I like the width of this. I have never made a headband this wide. It's about 5.5 inches. And I've always made them a whole lot, well, I don't know, not a whole lot smaller, but some smaller. Okay, so here we've got, I should make more for Christmas. I am going to and put them in because I'm thinking maybe like my nieces and my cousins' kids who are teenagers, would they like them? Maybe not with like the retro kind of thing on them, but they might wear headbands. I don't know. What do kids wear these days? I'm not sure. It makes me feel old, but we'll see. Kim, you're working on your own shawl. Okay, as a cover up, yes, for the sun, absolutely. Oh, good. You're just in from work. Well, good. I hope that, yeah, sit down and take some time to knit, right? Antoinette, you're knitting socks. Oh, the laundry buzzer has been yelling. Bye, Kelly. I'm glad you popped in. I know, laundry. Never ending, is it? Oh, so Amber, you like your ears covered? Yeah, don't let them getting cold. I know. Well, a lot of people said, like this works better because then it's not quite as, it keeps your ears warm, but it's not too hot. Doesn't mess up your hair. How's my orange sweater? I'm not talking about my orange sweater. Until next Thursday, Jocelyn and I will be doing a live podcast next Thursday night. I think that's the end of no. Oh no, I think I have 2 weeks. It's May 4th. Oh, I have an extra week in there, don't I? Thank goodness. Jocelyn and I, the first week of every month, the first Thursday of every month, Jocelyn from Northern Knits Podcast and I do the live, and we talk about our whips from the month before, what we have got finished, and then we make our declaration of what we're going to work on for the following month. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that because maybe it's because I haven't really done too much work on it yet. But you know me, I like to leave things to the last minute. I work much better under pressure. This is actually really hot, you guys. Okay, well, thanks, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up there. So thanks for joining me. I hope you learned something new tonight and had fun just chatting with each other. That was really fun. I always like seeing you guys chat amongst everybody, yourselves in the comments. So that's fantastic. So I will see you guys all Friday night for the Fiber Friends live Facebook knit night. And the Fiber Friends will have a podcast up either Friday night or Saturday morning. I might start putting them up Saturday mornings instead of Friday night. It seemed to work a little bit better for Saturday morning. So you can look for that on the weekend. And then I'll be back here Monday with this ball transformed into a headband of some sort. So have a great knitting week, everybody, and I will see you next week. Bye.